Hey guys, this is Chandler. I had a pretty good question the other day that I wanted to go over in a video. It was, and it was from a gym owner in a boutique gym industry. So I kind of understand where they're at and where they're coming from and what their prices are and a lot of that stuff. So the question was, how do you pre-qualify people for your services before they come in? So a lot of the time, if we don't set up pre-qualification methods or pre-qualification strategies, we get people who aren't qualified for our service. And what that does is it wastes both our time and their time. And so we need to make sure that we maximize the use of our time and we maximize the use of their time by keeping people informed of what's going to be happening and by setting ourselves up to understand where they're at, and then we can make a decision as to whether or not we want to invite them in to come see us. So there's the first place it starts is with your website. And on your website, you have two options. Number one, you list your prices, and number two, you don't. For number one, if you do list your prices, what you're going to do is you're going to eliminate a lot of price shoppers. You're going to reduce the amount of people who come into your website by quite a bit. The people who do come through are the ones who are excited about you specifically, but you're definitely not going to get as many because they're going to see other similar services and go to those purely based on price because they haven't had a chance to talk to you. Now, number two, if you don't list your prices on your website, you're going to get everybody who fills out your forms and contacts you and tries to get information out of you. And their main concern a lot of the time is going to be how much does it cost and stuff like that. So you want to make sure you pick one of the two avenues. You pick number one, if you have enough leads right now, you have enough people coming in and you're not worried about losing a large amount. And that's if you list your prices on your website. Number two, if you don't list your prices, you're going to get a lot more people, but you're also going to get a lot more unqualified people. Now, once they filled out a form and you get them on the phone, this should be the first qualification step that you go through with these people. And we're going to call these people suspects at this point because we don't necessarily know or really have an idea as to whether or not they're going to be a good fit for our service. So when we get on the phone with them, they're going to ask you questions about your business. You're going to go back and forth with them. You're often going to ask them questions like, so have you used a personal trainer before? And the person's going to say yes or no. If they say yes, you know they have it in their budget to afford the services you have because a personal trainer is going to be about the same rate or more expensive as a boutique gym. So if they say yes to that, you say, great, that's awesome. It's really good that you've done this kind of stuff before. What are you specifically looking for with us? And then they'll give you an idea of what they're doing, what they're searching for, and what their ideas are. And then you say, all right, great. It's been really good talking to you. I'd like to invite you into our one-on-one introductory training session or whatever you do for your first day. Now, when you invite them in, that's when you bring them in and you talk to them, and you should have an idea as to whether or not they're qualified at this point. If you say, have you used a personal trainer before on the phone, and they say no, what you're going to say is, okay, it's great that you're looking to start this out. I'm really excited to start with you. Do you have a specific budget you're working with? And you're asking them for a range. And what you're doing here is you're getting an idea of what they're capable of spending and what they're willing to spend and what they actually have in their budget to afford what you do. Now, if your services are within that budget and they tell you that it's within the budget, you tell them, well, that's great. You're right within what we charge. And I'd like to invite you in for a free one-on-one intro session or whatever you use for your first day. Now, if that budget range that they give you is outside of what you charge, if it's too low, you're going to tell them, so based off what we talked about today, I think what our services are a little bit outside of your price range, and I don't necessarily want to bring you in and waste your time with what we do if you can't necessarily afford what we charge. But what I'd like to do is recommend a place down the road that provides great service and has a little bit lower price point for you. And what you're doing there is you're telling them that you don't want to waste their time. They're outside of your budget their budget that they're trying to work with, and you want to recommend them to a place that's going to be a better fit for them. So you want to make this out to be something that you definitely don't want to bring them in if they can't afford your services. You figured out what their budget is, and now you can either make a recommendation for them to come in or for them to go to another place that's a better fit. And this is a lot more ethical for you to do as well. You're not trying to trick people to come in. You're not trying to convince people to come in. You're just asking them simple questions. Have you worked with a personal trainer before? Yes or no? Yes. Great. Let's invite you in for a one-on-one training session. It sounds like you've got a little bit of experience in the past and would be interested in working with you. Have you worked with a personal trainer in the past? No. okay, it's great that you want to start something new. I'm really excited to talk to you today. Do you have a specific budget that you're working with? Here's my budget, within range. Yes, great, let's come in. No, I think we're a little bit outside your price range, but here's a couple recommendations that I'd love to see you go check out. Hopefully this was helpful. If you guys have questions additionally on this video, please let me know. If I didn't cover anything, let me know and I'll take care of it. Post it in the comments if you have questions. Thanks.